Hi everyone, welcome to my channel. This is Dalise, also known as Stamprgrl. Today I am working on a hop project. This hop project is for our run with Christmas and it's a vintage Christmas theme. So I am over excited. I have a bunch of vintage Christmas stamps and I have never used them. I'm using this one by Inkadinkadoo. It is a few years old, but I believe they still have them available at the shop. I am using Versamark. This is their they have one that is like a brilliance, like a sparkle one, but it doesn't matter because I usually mostly use opaque embossing powders. So the image is a reindeer jumping in a Merry Christmas, and I am stamping it on a cream color cardstock that has like a vintage rustic line around the entire panel. I am stamping it multiple times to make sure that I have very good coverage, and I am coming with my gold detail embossing powder. This embossing powder is uber old, but it's the detail one that I have. I really love the color that it is, so I haven't replaced it. I might buy a new one to see if it melts a little bit better than this because this one is probably like 25 years old. I am going to bring my heat gun, which is about 25 years old, to maybe more. And I am melting my gold embossing powder where here's where the magic happens. This is how I got hooked into card making. I decided that for this card, like I wanted something simple, but I wanted something striking at the same time. So I knew for sure I was going to do some gold embossing. So here is my gold embossing, and I am going to bring a big blending wash brush. And this yellow card pattern paper, that's the pattern paper that I'm going to be using for my background. I'm bringing my watercolors, and I am going to start with applying a little bit of water. That is my blending brush. I start with a pretty bright yellow, and the reason is because now I'm going to bring this green that I know it has a lot of blue, but I want it like warm it up. I brought that yellow first. Now I'm just making a big brush stroke to make sure that I cover the Christmas and the Merry Christmas and the reindeer. And now I'm just like adding a little bit of water. Again, this is not watercolor paper. This is just a cream color cardstock panel. And I am going to come with my heat gun. I'm going to dry it out because if I try to put a second layer here and I haven't dried it out, it's going to kind of smoosh and not give you what I'm looking for, which are markings. I want dark markings, like this really was like some drippage happened. So I am doing this multiple times, and it is okay to bring the heat gun and apply the heat gun until everything dries. It might remelt a little bit the embossing powder, but I'm not too worried. I am doing this against my silicone mat. That's why I can turn it over and it won't get stuck into my background. And I love the look of this. It has tons of layers. I do love it. I decided to trim really close to that border that the panel has because I want a little bit extra of that pattern paper, the yellow pattern paper that I showed you at the beginning, to show, because I want that little bit of green that matches perfectly to the wash that I just did to be obvious that it came from a inspiration of the pattern paper. And there it is. And I actually love how the gold embossing powder goes super well with the yellow on this paper. And I know this paper is a lot, but as soon as you use it, like I'm using it right here, for a background, and so you're not seeing so much of it, it's just gorgeous. I had to pull it out and reposition it again because I was super off on my sides. Thank goodness I hadn't put too much pressure into it. And this is the panel. I am totally in love with it. My pattern paper was cut perfectly for fit an A2 card, which is 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. So I am making sure that it covers the card. There's a little bit of white on the bottom that shows, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to trim it out. That's perfectly fine. And here's my panel. I love it. Here's a close-up. But I'm like looking at it, I'm thinking, yes, I want a simple card, but I want something else. So I am bringing my bling, 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 bling. I am going to pick some pretty big ones and some small ones. And I usually just start by throwing them and then kind of like moving them maybe a little bit more. But usually I stay with whatever setup or like position they end up, and then maybe move to accommodate for a more pleasing look. But this seriously, I feel it's the easiest way to apply gems, and this is how I do it now. Literally, I throw a few and I look at it and I say, okay, this I like, I'm gonna keep. This I don't like, I'm gonna move. Sometimes I'll throw a few more in a second time. I am using my pickup tool from Cat Scrappiness. I don't know how I lived without this, seriously. Here is a close-up look of the end of the card, and I just want to thank you for being here, and I hope you like my channel and you decide to subscribe to it. And remember, don't leave crafting for tomorrow. Start today.